This is Chip Maxwell, and you're listening to the Retire Smart Podcast with David Brooks. Well, David, I do want to get to that downtown development project in Omaha, but first we need to squeeze this in because I know you find this very important because there's been this ongoing debate. Inflation, that's over. That's in the rearview mirror. But you sent the team some data in a chart that says otherwise.
Yeah, so inflation is actually hotter right now than it's been since February of 2023. So we're going back almost 2 full years here. And for those of you that are watching on YouTube, you can see clearly on this graph that inflation is trending up, not down. And for now, so we now have CPI trending up 3 months in a row, PPI trending up 3 months in a row. So that's the consumer price index and the producer price index. And the producer price index is a leading indicator because that's the inputs that go into the things we consume of CPI, which is a lagging indicator. And then you also have the Fed's kind of favorite gauge called PCE, which is personal consumption expenditures that they really kind of monitor. That is trending up. Now, what's interesting is you go back to February of 2023 and the Fed said, well, we're really focused on what's called super core inflation. This is the sticky stuff. And because that was at 5.4% and they got it down, that is now trending up north of 4.5%, and the Fed is silent. Oh, when someone asks them, hey, what about that sticky super core? Don't ask that question, please. Next. And so here we are Wednesday. They're going to cut rates this afternoon, 98% probability as of the recording, so I'm assuming they cut another 25 basis points. But the 10-year is up 100 basis points since they started this rate-cutting cycle back in September. So the bond market is giving the proverbial middle finger, to the Fed, saying, no, you're wrong. And that's what you need to pay attention to, because if inflation is not under control, that could become a very, very scary thing. Now, what does the Fed know? Why are they so aggressively still willing to cut rates in light of this inflationary data? Well, because they see jobs deteriorating at an accelerated rate. We just got revised numbers out, Chip, this week. So we are now over 1.04 million jobs net loss this year. Net loss. We've lost 1 million jobs in America. Now that the election's over, all of a sudden we're getting the real data out, and it's amazing. Oh, wait a minute. We didn't gain any of those jobs. Sorry, we had the wrong numbers. Over 1 million jobs have been lost, and that's accelerating going into next year, which tells you this rolling recession I think we've been in is a very real thing.
Well, we'll keep an eye on all of that. Now, David, to the downtown Omaha project. The Omaha World Herald headline is, one of Omaha's tallest buildings set to be converted to downtown apartments. This got your attention, David. Why?
Well, we're starting to see this happen in other cities around the country. And I think it's actually a really good thing, right? Because you have these older office buildings that are not designed like today's modern offices. So to go and restructure them inside, we spent a ton of money in our office when we came in here. And now with the studio, over $1 million in improvement just to improve the office that we are in. And so to do that, to get economic activity, not many people want to work downtown, or if they do, they don't want to commute. So having more viable alternatives to live downtown, which Omaha's done a great job, a lot of lofts and apartments going up. So, but the big building, banks don't typically need 22-story buildings anymore, and so they would rather disperse a lot of their folks would rather work at smaller offices out in the suburbs.
This is the First National Bank building that predated the First National Tower. So this is the bank building with the restaurant with the press club at the top of it.
So basically they're going to convert this into about 300 apartments, and I think it's a neat and good thing. And especially you've got if Mutual of Omaha gets their tower completed and goes back to more of a at work, which we think is most companies are doing that here in the very near future if they haven't already, then people are going to want to have locations close and viable to work, and so that may be very vibrant for our downtown, et cetera. This is neat. I think the company's called New Style that's doing the development here.
Yes, Todd Heisten and New Style. Yeah, they've been active in these kinds of projects.
We're seeing these projects go in other cities as well, and they're being well thought after. So curious what those units will go for, if they're going to be apartments or they're going to condo and sell some of them, and some just all be leases. I didn't get into the details, but I think having a rent that is affordable and multiple locations like that will help keep rent prices down as well. That was the one complaint I had with a client that I was chatting with that lives down there, whatever you call the Capital District, right? And like it's really nice. It's convenient for me for work, and he actually works at Creighton, and I can walk and
blocks
etc.
away.
And but it's quite expensive, relative to if I lived out in the suburbs. So I think the more of these units that get built, obviously the better the pricing will be because of competition.
So it sounds to me like you're bullish on this project, though. That
I am. I think that's a great use of an older building that's going to get retrofitted, et cetera. And so the shell is there, and then of course they're just going to completely reconfigure each floor, some plumbing and obviously electrical changes, those type of things.
I got to tell you, as a lifetime Omahan, to see this happening, it was the 1990s, David, when Hal Dobb, in fact, Hal's been on our show before.
Yes, we've had Hal on here a couple times.
Was mayor, and Omaha, like a lot of cities nationally, the urban core, the city was kind of drying up downtown. All the action was radiating out, toward the perimeter. And it was Hal Dobb who said, no, we cannot neglect the core, the downtown. That's the heartbeat of your city. And he initiated riverfront development and so forth, a lot of downtown development. And wow, we've just seen successive waves of it. And here's another one. And I'm glad to hear that you're bullish on it. It sounds like it's working as intended.
We have a similar project, 2 big office buildings downtown Orlando. So I started my career at a company called Payne Weber in downtown Orlando, right? And so I was on the 13th floor of what we used to call the Copper Building. It was PNC Bank was the brand that had the name rights on the building. But major office, actually, in fact, the largest law firm in the country was the floor above us. It was called Morgan, Collin, and Gilbert. Now they're just Morgan and Morgan. Now you may see his name on TV everywhere, but we used to get in the elevator with him every day. But anyway, the building next door is now, the same thing happened about 4 years ago, and a friend of mine lives in that building. Now, they made it condos, not apartments, so they sold them, but he has a firm similar to ours in the Orlando market, and he literally lives one building away from his office, and he loves the convenience. So it's a neat way to get economic activity to stay in an area that you already have all the infrastructure and things in place.
Well, David, this next story has blooper reel written all over it, compliance alerts. And I thought when you sent this, okay, this is the Onion, this is the Babylon Bee or something. It is not. Your comment was the air may literally come out of this one soon. What index is this that we're talking about, David?
So this is a cryptocurrency that is the number one moving asset since the election, and it went parabolic. It's up like 1,800%.
I can't do it. I can't say it.
It's a cryptocurrency called Fartcoin.
Thank you.
And that's why I literally said the air is probably going to come out of this one. But this is, and I warned, I was like, this is the problem: is these meme cryptocurrencies don't have any real value. These coins that are just created and fly up. I would not be a holder of this, literally, because when the proverbial wind goes, this will flow down, and it will not be. It might look like something different.
But these numbers, these are real numbers.
Yeah,
I'm
and
looking
people
at.
are really making money and losing money in this. And again, this is this meme kind of thing. We have young people trading online with these apps and things. They have no understanding of the amount of money they're winning or losing and risking, and it is very scary. And that's not what we do here. I want to disclosure. We work with people at or close to retirement that have worked to get their nest egg. We want to protect it, save it, and invest it properly.
All right, well, let's move on. David, you also sent the team, well, you shared an observation, all right? You said that over the past 2 years, the S&P 500 has increased more than 60%, but S&P 500 earnings have increased only about 5%. Why? How do we account for that disparity?
So what happens is we have periods of time we're willing to pay more for a company than less, right? And we do what's called an earnings multiple chip. So in other words, how many times earnings are we willing to pay for a company? Historically speaking, when it comes to the S&P 500, about 17 times earnings is what we're comfortable paying. We are currently paying about 28 times earnings if we buy the market today. And as I said, so the stock, we've increased the multiple, so the stock prices keep going up, making all-time highs, but the earnings are not going to match. So at some point, everything reverts to the mean. And we've got 150 years of data to prove. So I just mine this information because you know me, I'm just a data hound and I go looking for these anomalies. By the way, as we're recording this today, the Dow was up when we started the recording this morning. I have no idea where it's going to finish today, but the previous 9 days, we've had 9 consecutive negative days on the Dow. That has not happened since 1978. So we are probably closer to the end of this bull run than some might want to think. And so again, the word is heed caution.
Thank you for listening to the Retire Smart podcast with David Brooks. If you want to learn how to generate lifetime income, reduce your tax bill, and maintain your lifestyle in retirement, visit retiresmartpodcast.com. And make sure to subscribe to keep up with new episodes every week.